With the NFL Scouting Combine over, we have decided we're going to go through a few mock drafts with some different scenarios. So join Mitch and I as we go through just the one today. We're going to try and get in the mind of John Schneider. Mitch, so we're here. It's the end of the combine. You no longer get to become a combine goblin, although it is nearly the draft. So you get to stay out.
I get to switch.
Yeah, draft Mitch, my favorite Mitch.
Yeah, it's my favorite Mitch too.
Yeah. So obviously you did a hell of a lot of scouting. We did our pre-combine, our preview, if you would, to talk about who we were looking at, who we think Seahawks fans should be looking at. And the combine has been and gone. There were some star performers, people rocketing up draft boards, but we decided to jump on and we're going to do a mock. We'll do a couple of little mocks, some really short episodes just to see what people think. And Mitch has had an idea of what we'll do for this first one. What are we going to do?
I pretty much every mock we see people drafting first round offensive line, defensive line, possibly a quarterback, usually a trade back. You know, there are common themes emerging with almost every mock we see, right? But if you look at the theme of 2022 and 2023's drafting, John Schneider had done a very specific approach to what we do with our picks. And it's been consistent over those 2 years. And he's also spoken about it as well and sort of explained, without saying exactly what their approach is, he's given some very sturdy hints about what our approach is. And basically, the approach that we've had in the last 2 years was to take best player available when we pick. And if we don't have a first round graded player available when we are on the clock, we explore trade backs or accept trade backs if it's an offer that's too difficult to turn down, too good to refuse. So as a result of that strategy, we took Charles Cross at 9 in 2022, and we took Devon Witherspoon at 5 in 2023. Now, if you think back to last year and the amount of mocks flying around and who we were mocked to take, almost none of them were Devon Witherspoon. But the fact was, when we were picking, that was the player they had the most faith in being a game-changing cornerstone to the future of our franchise. Not necessarily a year one impact, but just this is a guy we can build the defense around. We're confident in his quality. So with that happening 2 years in a row, I still believe that John Schneider is going to, when we get to 16, if we haven't traded beforehand, moved up to grab a guy or taken an offer to move back, when we're on the clock at 16, I truly believe that anyone dropping out of the top 15 that by all accounts should have already gone is highly likely to be drafted by the Seahawks, regardless of position, whether that's Roma Dunze, whether that's Brock Bowers, whether it's, you name a position, we've already got Quinion Mitchell, Terrion Arnold. Those sorts of players could very well be the pick if John Schneider and the scouting team are 100% certain that that guy is going to be worth first round money and can be a game changer in our roster for the next 4 or 5 years. So that's the ethos I think we should take into this draft, because it'll be different to what other people are doing, but in tune with the last 2 years of John Schneider's ethos.
I like it. A lot of ethos there. I think that's brilliant. Like I said, we don't see a lot of them. It's just a lot of. I'm very guilty of it. I am the trade back king, because that's where I think where a lot of value sits, especially in this draft. You can pick up some really good players, not necessarily a top 10 picks or top 20 picks, but I think you can really pad out this roster with exceptional young talent. I'm interested to see where this one goes. So without further ado, Mitch, would you like to share with our viewers what we're going to be doing and who we're using?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're going to use PFN's mock draft. We're going to do 7 rounds on ultra fast, only picking for the Seahawks. And we're just going to try and rifle through the scenarios and try and pick with the mindset of John Schneider, which is best player available on day 1 and 2. Trade back if we have a good offer. And day 3, we address positional need, taking players that we've spoken to at the combine, at Senior Bowl, etc. Guys, we have a lot of information on safe picks in positional needs. So let's quickly get up the screen. Here we go. So we'll hit go on this draft and see how this falls. Actually, I'm going to restart that and put it on fast because that was not quick enough. Try that off again. There we go.
And Caleb Williams actually went number 1 in this draft, unlike the last one we were looking at, where
the trial run he went second. Yeah. So I guess we'll take a very quick look at this this trade opportunity. 26th. I mean, this is a ridiculous offer. First of all, a 3rd round pick from us and a first for a first and a second and a future first. That's not.
If you look at the value charts, there is no way on this green earth that equates to the right value.
No, and I agree. The same, similar with this one. So with there being 2 ridiculous offers on the table that we won't take, looks like we're picking at 16. So this is interesting. There's 5 players I see there that are potential first round grades, I would say. Johnny Newton's the obvious one. I think a lot of the fan base would be jumping up and down with this selection. Talisa Fuaga obviously had a fantastic showing at the Combine and the Senior Bowl, combined with years of fantastic tape for the Beavers. That would be an unbelievable pick as well. Yeah. Cover for Abraham Lucas. Also could be a starting guard with a fully fit line. Jared Verse would be a fantastic difference maker on defense. Quinion Mitchell is QB1 for me in this draft. Unbelievable competitor. That is a Pete Carroll quarterback. Sorry,
cornerback. I was going to say CB, QB, CB. Yeah, so
Pete Carroll wasn't playing cornerbacks at quarterback. And then Jackson Powers Johnson there, who's by all accounts a center that can play guard as well.
And is mocked to the Seahawks in a lot of the mock drafts I see, but I don't see that as value picking at 16. No. For me, I'm personally, I'm looking at the top 2. I'm either looking at Johnny Newton or Fuaga. I lean more towards Fuaga.
Yeah.
Personally, because of his positional versatility, the gaps that we've had in the O-line, and the need to protect Geno and let him actually do what he needs to do in this scrub system. That'd be my pick.
And I tend to agree with you for a different reason. I agree with your points, but there's an extra thing here. As we didn't get the opportunity to trade back into the second, the option, if we'd have traded back late into the first and picked up a second or an early third, there's quite a lot of offensive linemen. We might have been able to go D-line in round 1. There will still be good offensive linemen of starting quality in round 2. With that in mind, I think we go this way. So you said Fuaga, right? And just bolster that line. Let's lock that in. I love that pick. So yeah, we didn't pick up a second, so we're going to see a lot of big names come off the board here. And then we'll have our 2/3 close together. That's not a bad offer. Moving back 10 spots and then coming forward as far as that from our 233rd. We'll take a look at the other offer.
No,
I'm not too keen to push anything into future drafts. I think we need to pick here, so we'll go ahead and reject that one.
Let's see.
How do we feel about
who's available at this pick? Obviously, we pick 2 picks later as well, but you've got Michael Hall, Cedric Gray, Jeremiah Trotter, Xavier Leggett, Irving. I think we're going to be looking at Jalen
Peyton Wilson still there too.
Oh, see, this is where obviously you've turned me into a Wilson lover, and having seen his combine, I would move heaven and earth. Where is he on this board? Is he?
He's 84th here.
Oh,
and
so
we're picking at 76. So we're, according to this board, we're reaching, but in reality, him
he's
dropping to early third round is
not.
that would be a miracle. So I wouldn't consider that a reach. I would consider that a steal where we're picking.
So where we are here, then I see the only Michael Hall Jr. bolstering that D line.
Which we will need to do. That's actually a really good pick for us as well. And personally, I think continuing with the John Schneider mindset with this, best player available being the key with the first selections rather than positional need.
Yeah,
Michael Hall would fit that in this instance, or Jeremiah Trotter potentially as well. Two players that they probably have solid second round grades on, falling to us in the third. On John Schneider's approach to day 1 and 2 picking, I think it has to be one of those two.
Yeah,
personally,
I see. Again, we do this before free agency's finished, before we've re-signed anyone, and I'm leaning more towards D tackle. Because we don't know what's happening with Leonard Williams. There is rumours on the grapevine that the Raiders are interested and very interested. And then it's going to be a battle between the two of us. But I think we do need to get younger there anyway. But then Jeremiah Trotter is a fantastic prospect, in my opinion.
And I mean, there's Peyton Wilson there as well. We're picking again in 2 picks. Ben Sinnott there as well. Like, there's a lot of good players to pick with these 2 picks. So I think John Schneider goes Michael Hall as the highest graded player left on the board, and then readdress one of our take another falling player with the next pick. So should we lock in Michael Hall?
Let's do it.
Okay, so 2 trade offers. That Tennessee Titans one for future second. I don't like it.
And for anyone who's listening as well, we'll just sort of go through these. So the next trade off we've got is the Browns, who want our 78th, and I've not got my glasses on. Is that our 233rd?
233rd, that's it, yeah.
An 85th and 135th. Now, looking at the board as it sits, Peyton Wilson, who I think we could possibly get if we move down, but I wouldn't want to take that risk, although it's a heck of a move up. It's nearly 100 spots, 98 spots we'd move up with the other pick.
That's really difficult to say no to, but when you look at the bodies that are still on the board at positions of need that have fallen from round 2, I think that is hard. What do you think?
Now, if I'm looking at the way that board sits, inside linebacker, you've got Gray, Trotter.
Got James Williams, who's listed as a linebacker here, but
he's
played most of
safety, cornerback, linebacker, which I think would always be a fantastic pickup. I think there is possibly enough. Oh, Braden Fisk is down there as well. Should have looked for that, really, shouldn't we, before we went for Hall?
I think this board may not be updated since the
I don't think it's updated because he has leapt up some draft boards. You know, I'm half tempted now to go with the trade and pick up another linebacker, because you've still got some later round prospects that we could go for. Free agency is still on the horizon. What do you think, Mitch?
Yeah, I think that trade's quite realistic, and I think moving up from our 233rd to getting a starting quality player on day 3 is a fantastic upside to that. I think that's a great trade.
There you go. Let's John Schneider it. Let's do it.
Okay. So we're back on the clock at 85. I think we ignore that Jackson Jaguars trade, which was an offer of the 115th for our 85th and trading our 194th for a future third. I just don't see that being considerable. And it puts us on the clock. Peyton Wilson's still there. James Williams is still there. Cade Stover, Braden Fisk, Josh Newton, the corner as well, who's an outstanding player. Jaheim Bell, who's a bit of a polarizing figure. Mike Sanris still there as well, who's a extremely highly rated leader of that Michigan defense as well.
And did we interview with him at the combine? I can't remember.
Josh Newton we did, and Senristel we did as well. Both of those corners we interviewed with.
And off the boards come Cedric Gray, Kalen King, Xavier Leggett, Devontae Walker, Bucky Irving, Jeremiah Trotter, and
Kieran Amagaji.
Thank you very much, Mitch. I'm glad I've not got my glasses on. So anyone who's watching this on YouTube and sees me squinting, getting close to the screen, that's why.
Kieran Amagaji went. That's a really good. That would have been a really good pickup for us, actually, Kieran Amagaji, because that's a tackle that plays both sides. Doesn't necessarily project to kick inside, but can cover both sides.
Swing tackle.
And and absolutely could replace Lucas on the one side and have Lucas move inside to guard. That could be a really sort of versatile piece for us. But he has gone, so no point talking about it. And for my money, the real conversation here is Peyton Wilson, James Williams, Ben Sinnott, and Braden Fisk, who I really don't think would be here. But and we've addressed DT as well. So who would you think John Schneider would pick in this spot?
My issues with Peyton Wilson, his ACL injuries. There's a history of that. Now, he was electric at the combine. I think he turned so many heads. But I'm looking at what other linebackers will be available later on with our picks.
Yep.
Will we be looking for, if Jamal Adams goes, do we need that linebacker safety hybrid? In which case, Williams would be the pick. But I love Peyton Wilson.
Well, I think if we're trying to stay true to John Schneider, picking talent over positional need at this point in time, I think we can't look past Peyton Wilson.
Yeah,
I think with his stock being high, I think this represents him falling quite far past where he should be picked. So I think Peyton Wilson is the biggest falling player left on the board at this point.
Do it. Let's do it. Yeah. Pull that trigger.
Done it. So should we quickly, while this is running through, let's quickly review what we've got. So we've addressed our offensive line with Talisa Fuaga. We've taken Michael Hall Jr. To solidify the middle of that defensive line. We've taken Peyton Wilson, who is a highly mobile linebacker prospect that can get that sort of sideline to sideline sort of aspect added back into our linebacker core. So we are moving into day 3, aren't we? So this is where we adjust mindset to positional needs. And sorry, this is day 3, isn't it? Day 3. So positional needs. So we're probably looking tight ends, safeties, and further help for the offensive line if a good value presents.
And that's quite fortunate, because in this draft, Cade Stover is the top player left.
Yeah, and interesting, Michael Pratt's there as well, who we spoke to at the Senior Bowl. So it really depends how keen they are on getting an understudy, really. But if we're looking at immediate impact for the roster, and I think tight end wise, there's not a huge amount on the free agent market other than the 2 that are leaving us, ironically, potentially leaving us, that could have add real starting quality. Cade Stover is a superb offensive weapon from the tight end position. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
I think that would be the pick. Who else is available? Can we just go down a little bit? So we've got
Roger Rosengarten. Yeah, there's the fastest offensive lineman yesterday at the combine. Not that I put a huge amount of stock in our big boys running 40s, but it was impressive. I don't think a lot of people had him down as the favorite there.
And if we scroll down a little bit more, I'm just sort of looking at. So you got
Marshall Nealand, the edge rusher that we interviewed at the combine. Christian Mahogany.
Yeah. So our next pick. So we've got, this is 135. Oh, it's 119. Then we're at 135, isn't it?
Yeah, we're picking again fairly soon.
Yeah. So I think we take best player available on this one. We go for Cade Stover. It's a fantastic offensive weapon. good in the run game as well, so he's a good blocker. I'd take it.
I agree with you completely. So we pick first in the 5th round, and looking at the board, we've got Jalen Ford, Texas linebacker, Ricky Pearsall, who had a really good showing at the Senior Bowl and at the Combine, Marshawn Nealand, who we have spoken to at the Combine. Christian Mahogany is a brilliant option, I think, at this point. Offensive guard there. I mean, it would mean we've taken Fuaga and a dedicated interior lineman, but I see Fuaga as I mean, if you had those two, you'd potentially have them both starting inside, covering Lucas if his knee injury isn't quite healed, and then you've also then got Bradford as a plug and play option if you do need to mix
Left
it.
or right.
That feels great. Yeah, that feels great. I like that.
I do, but then I also look at who else available. So we've got Neil in there. We've got one of my crushes from the draft and pre-draft, Javen Solomon from the edge from Troy. I think he's had a superb combine, and you look at his productivity during his career at Troy. I think he's been brilliant. Malik Mustafa's there. Dalen Holker, love him as a tight end prospect as well. Jacob Cowing, Zach Zinter.
Yeah, that. I mean, I really like that pick. Regarding Zach Zinter, obviously his season was ended by a broken leg, but reports that over the weekend with the combine were that he expects to compete at his pro day. So that points to a guy that you could draft now and would be available for all of training camp and start the season. That was consensus guard 1 a few months before his injury. So that and outstanding in the run game as well, Zach Zinter. So that projects as an extremely good pick as well.
So we're here at 135. Our next pick is 151.
Yeah,
there's a lot of players up there. I know the sort of consensus thought is you can never have too much edge talent, and if we're using Darren Taylor or Darrell Taylor as well, Nealon's looking like a good option there, and then it's a matter of hoping and praying that one of those guards will be there at 151. But
well, there's a few actually. Layden Robinson there too, and Mahogany and Zinter. There's a few further down that would be able to have a really good impact on our line. So, with that in mind, I don't mind taking someone like Marshawn Leland or Javon Solomon. So.
This is the John Schneider mock. This is I know, John, we've already spoken to Nealand. I think it's going to be Marshawn Nealand. That would be the edge if we had the opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm keen on that as well. I thought he looked really good. So we're back on the clock at 151. We've got Katan Oladapo available there at safety, which is definitely an option. We've got Zach Zinter still there, which is shining at me like a beacon at this point.
Checking Cowing, the Arizona wide receiver as well. Who else?
Yeah,
Dylan Johnson, bringing a Husky over, but then do we need another running back? Taj Washington, who had a fantastic bowl game. I think it's got. If Zach Zinter's there, I think we would be remiss. Not to take him. I think based on the issues we had with our O-line last year, the inconsistencies, the fact we didn't have people that can plug and play at a good standard, I think if he was the consensus guard number 1, and he's only dropped down because of his injury, yeah,
I agree. I think that's too good an opportunity to miss. So let's lock that in. So Zach Zinter is our pick there. And our next pick comes at 194. And here we go with a few versatile defensive options. Josh Proctor's there, who I thought looked pretty good at the combine. Tommy Eichenberg as well.
It's been in free fall in this sort of mock draft cycle. He started sort of as a second round projection, then third round, and he just keeps going down and down and down every time I reload one of these.
There's Joe Milton there as well, who showed everyone how good his arm is over the weekend. Didn't dispel any of the sort of concerns that I think people have had for the longest time. I don't think he showed us anything we didn't expect to see over the weekend, but did remind us just how much power is in that cannon.
Yeah, which is great if you want to launch it to someone running a straight go route from your 10 and just try and get as close to the opposition's line as possible. But I'm not aboard the Joe Milton train. A lot of people were. I did put a tweet up saying he had a cannon, and he did, but he has got the touch of a freight train. I just can't. I could have been very British with another analogy of a touch of something else, but no, I'll keep it clean for the sake of the pod. But yeah, I'm not aboard that, and we might get some hate for it. Oh, Javen Cohen's there as well. That's another guy we could have taken. For me, Josh Proctor. Is there anyone else a bit further down? Let's have a look. John Jackson.
Sione Vaki is a really interesting prospect there as well.
I think that'd be it, because we've had an interview with Vaki as well, haven't we? He's versatile. They asked him to work out as a running back as well.
They did.
But again, he's another exciting prospect just for the sheer versatility and what he's put on tape. I think in this position, I think it'd be Vaki.
Yep, let's take that. I love the fact that his college were short of a running back, and they asked him if he could do it because he'd done it a bit in high school, and he just fine, I'll play both sides, and just stepped in, and that's fantastic. It's the more you can do right when you come in, and also even if he didn't see the field like Jarek Reed didn't necessarily last year, that is an immediate contributor on special teams in a big way. So
I'm all about that one. I think that was a fantastic pick. Right, Mitch, would you like to run us through how this draft ended for us?
Yeah, sure thing. So at 16, we took Fuaga, likely to kick him inside and provide cover for Lucas. We took Michael Hall Jr. from Ohio State for defensive tackle at 76. We traded back out of 78 down to 85 and took Peyton Wilson. So we've got linebacker covered there. We took Cade Stover from Ohio State again at 119, which I think is a steal. Marshall Nealand, who we're very interested in, obviously, with the interviews at the Combine this weekend for edge position. We've taken a falling Zach Zinter at 151 for the inside offensive line positions there. And Sione Vaki was our pickup for safety from Utah at 194. And that looks great.
I would be more than happy with that. And with that, I mean, with this really quick one from us, we're going to be doing more of these mocks. We've got some fantastic guests coming up as well who are going to review the Combine with us. We're going to look at their mock drafts as well. We'll be putting all of these out on a weekly basis, if not more. Stay tuned. If you haven't already, like and subscribe to YouTube. Click that notification bell just so you know exactly when one of these comes up. We're available on all your major podcasting apps, and we've got some very exciting partnership announcements coming up as well. But
brilliant.
I'm going to say, with that, it's been fantastic. I have to go and catch up on some of the Combine because it was my wife's 30th birthday weekend, and I didn't get to watch it all. So I'm going to finish this with a Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.